This morning, we're going to have a conversation with a conductor. This Sunday, you can do the same. Find out what it's all about. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at Design It at the former Waccamaw Outlet Mall here on 501 in Myrtle Beach. We're focused on the 20th anniversary season of the Long Bay Symphony. And we're visiting with Maestro Charles Jones Evans, the conductor of the Long Bay Symphony. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning.
Do you mind if we call you Charles?
Oh, not at all.
Early on a Thursday
You don't have
morning,
to call me Maestro.
Maestro. Obviously, the director was talking about Maestro, that great Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, I love that.
I have no trouble saying Maestro if you want to go by that.
No.
Charles is okay.
Yeah, that'll do.
Getting ready for Sunday.
Yeah, getting ready for the start of the season. That's nice. Really, our 20th anniversary season. Things like orchestras in communities, they take time. It takes time to build them and to establish cultural things for a growing community. So 20th anniversary is a real milestone for
Absolutely. It's tremendous. And, of course, the big focus even more on a silver anniversary in 5 years. Again, getting ready for that.
Right.
The big silver anniversary. But it's upon us. And, of course, this is such a big week. Each day, even this morning, I know you're heading from here to even continue to get more ready for Sunday. But
yeah, there are always technical things, production elements and, everything from the musicians themselves to the guest artists to the stage. It's just typical kind of business that leads up to that weekend set of rehearsals, so that when you get to that very compact amount of time, I mean, we're talking about, in this case, within 48 hours, everything is produced and performed.
Wow.
When you get in that situation, everything has to work like clockwork. It really has to be right on the money.
And that's partly because of the level of y'all's professionalism and a lot of your musicians coming in from other areas.
Right, and of course people should realize that's very common for all orchestras. The Charleston Symphony, we use a lot of the same people.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. All the orchestras in the state, really. Columbia, Charleston, up to the North Carolina area. There's a common pool of players, and they travel a lot. And that's the way it goes. Now, in the case of an orchestra like Charleston, they have a small core of salaried players, and so they do their smaller things with those folks. But as soon as they open it up to a large orchestra concert, then they have to hire out.
They're tapping your folks, you're tapping
theirs. And that's natural. But yeah, it's, the idea of professional not only is an indicator of quality and what kind of product you're trying to put out, but it's kind of an economic necessity, because for us to be able to respond to people's needs or desires to have a concert, they'll ask us for a quote to do a concert in Pawleys Island or Georgetown or Hartsville, we have to have a machinery that's in place that says, okay, we can do it in this much rehearsal time, and we can have everyone come together for this specific period of time, as opposed to more of a community thing, which would be, okay, let's meet on Tuesday nights. The economics of that dictate that you have to compress the whole affair down to a professional, wage earning type of thing.
That's probably something a lot of folks don't know about.
Yeah,
you don't even think about it.
In order to be up and ready for the business that we would want to generate, we're manufacturing a product just like anything else, and so it has to be set up in that way that where we can predict the scheduling, predict the bringing in of our players that have to come from outside, and then we have a specific cost.
There's still a great pool of local folks that you turn to.
Oh yeah, and it grows all the time. I mean, we had someone about a couple months ago, I guess, we were getting ready for a concert, and she just showed up at the office. They had recently moved here, and she played violin. It's like, it happens that's the magic of an area like this. It's not static. It's growing all the time. And yeah, that's what will happen. There'll be more activity with the symphony, more people moving in, and more people moving in perhaps because of the music they can make here for a living. And everyone benefits. You have teachers for your kids. You have people to play at your weddings. You have teachers in the schools. All of these related music jobs are what attract people to the area. And in the long run, before you know it, you have got a local pool of musicians.
That's tremendous, Charles. How do you quiz folks when they show up at the office and say, I'm a tremendous violinist? What do you do?
Well, you have an audition. We have a standard set of excerpts from orchestral pieces.
Right.
And they have a certain amount of lead time to prepare those, and I listen to the audition. We have them do sight reading, and they play a concerto that they know, that kind of thing. And we say whether or not that's going to work out. I mean, the basic thing is that anyone has to be at a level where they can walk in and do, say in this case, 3 rehearsals and a performance in 48 hours.
Right.
And have it work.
Yeah.
And that goes right to the heart of what a professional is.
That's
someone who
exciting.
can really put that together.
That's fantastic. Charles, for viewers who may need to get off to work now or get out of the house, what's the best way to reach the Long Bay Symphony, either to learn about this Sunday's performance, the kickoff of the 20th anniversary season, or if they're going to be out of town, just to learn more about getting tickets and supporting the Long Bay Symphony?
Well, of course, first and foremost, I would just call the office. That's 448-8379.
Okay.
And we're open during all normal business hours.
Great.
And if by some chance someone doesn't answer, there's a machine, and
Right.
we'll call you right back. But you can also get on our website, which is very easy to remember, www.longbaysymphony.com, and get all the information on the season, our volunteer groups, the youth orchestra, all of those things.
There's some tremendous information about you there as well, Charles. I loved reading early this morning a nice little bio piece about you at longbaysymphony.com.
Yeah.
Really amazed to see the breadth of your experience in the industry.
Well, it's over more years than I would care to count now.
We're not going to focus
Yeah.
on those. Some great quotes we'll get to in a few minutes that came off of the website early this morning. But, of course, your preparation, as you said, it's really the 48 hours right before Sunday at 4 p.m. For viewers who may not have been to one of your performances or may have just moved here to town, is it easy to find if they were just going to show up this Sunday, what time would they want to be there for a 4 p.m. performance? Would they want to get in a little early? And
well, I would, if they don't have tickets, especially
Right.
for something like this,
Sure.
that's an all Gershwin program with the artists that we have. I think it's going to be a sellout probably.
Oh yeah.
So I would recommend that they get there at half an hour before.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also mention that before each of these big concerts that are part of our symphony subscription series,
Right.
We have a pre-concert thing, conversations with the conductor,
And that's you.
that's me.
Yeah. It's tough to say conversation with me. Yeah.
But that happens at 3:15.
Okay, good.
Just in an adjoining space next to the auditorium, and
Right.
I just sort of fill people in on what they, what they're
gonna
going
hear.
to hear, and just
exciting.
offer perspectives. And we'll probably have a little bit of discussion with some of our guest artists during that time for the Gershwin concert.
Good. Yeah. So some of those folks will be, and of course you've got exciting. Is it Lynn Roberts?
Oh yeah, Lynn Roberts is one of our biggest draws, and she's. I tell people she's like the last of the great big band singers.
Wow.
And she's worked extensively with Doc Severinsen, whom she told me is just now retired.
Is that right?
Yeah, but he had been doing, I can't remember which Pops services for what orchestra. I think it was Phoenix, and then he's done a bunch of major orchestras pop series, and so he would invite her frequently.
Wow.
And then she's also performed with the Boston Pops. So I mean, she's right up there, and she's just a pleasure to work with.
Yeah.
And it's just it's so wonderful to be part of that era and actually share in these great arrangements and these great tunes. It's just
You've got some other tremendous concerts scheduled for this season, Charles, here in the 20th anniversary season.
We do, and of course I used the title "The Year of the Symphony" for our 20th anniversary, sort of as a double meaning, because it's our way of saying here we are.
Right.
And of course we're not only looking to put ourselves out there to the public with our performances, but also talk about, and we can get to this later, but the fundraising aspect of that, and the idea that we need to help endow this orchestra and get it funded for the long haul, so that it's an institution here, and we're just planting roots. You know, we're growing roots, I should say, planting seeds to grow roots.
Let's talk about some of that now. How is the symphony funded currently, Charles? How do you all get the funds to continue to operate a professional symphony here in the Grand Strand area?
It's just a combination of corporate and private donations, and that has not. Everyone knows the dynamic here. It's a little bit less organized because it's growing so much, and so much of what's gone on in the Myrtle Beach area has been a branch of what goes on at the home office. We used to get that a lot, but we can't really contribute. That all comes from the home office. But we're getting more and more this mentality that people realize this is an extended, permanent community, and it requires this sort of philanthropy to make, to give us these things that are part of a larger metropolitan area that you'd be proud to have your kids come from and be exposed to things. And I point out to my 11-year-old daughter all the time, is if you were in a city like Dallas or Atlanta or Chicago or any of, Pittsburgh, you go on and on, all of these things are there, and it's a matter of course. We're building those things right now, and it's just very important for the future. As I've already referred to some, I believe, is the youth orchestra is such a vital element here.
Yes.
Because, 10 years ago, I think I've been with that, I've actually conducted the youth orchestra for, this will be my 11th year to do that. I've seen such a growth and such a maturity in the students. So many more of them studying privately, so many more of them going to college as music majors.
Really?
So many more of them going to major music festivals.
Right.
And so many more of them prepared to perform at what I would call loosely a national standard. In other words, here's someone from Myrtle Beach, here's another kid from Chicago, here's another kid from San Antonio, and they've all been exposed to the same. That's what I'm very proud to be able to say, that we're doing real pieces of Beethoven, real pieces of Mozart, a wide variety of repertoire. So anyway, it's easy to get off on all of these things, but I think
getting back, way too many things to focus on.
Getting back to the fundraising aspect, I would want people to understand so strongly that this is something that is part of their whole experience. This is an orchestra that functions full-time, essentially, in terms of what it's providing the community. We do chamber performances. People call us all the time for wedding musicians, and we provide that. Of course, our orchestra concerts that you subscribe to, but a number of them that we do outdoors, that adjoining communities will sponsor, and we're out there providing this. Educational concerts of all sorts, musicians of ours going into the schools. All of these things are the stuff of a symphony orchestra in your community, and that's very different from bringing talent into the area, which was, I think, the major thing to make people clear on when I first came, because people were so proud, and I loved it, what the Palace could bring in those days. But it's not the same as what you have right here in your backyard.
Right. Those are great words, Charles. Yeah. The city also supports the Long Bay Symphony.
Oh, of course. It's a major chunk of our monies.
They've been a big
yes,
proponent.
Of course. And, there are all sorts of arguments for and against those types of things, but however that support would come in any given community, I think it's important that people realize it's something that definitely needs to be supported in that way. So
I saw that Steve Porter did a great piece in last week's Myrtle Beach Herald, and our show sponsor, and really went through preparing for the 20th anniversary season, but a lot of what has to happen, your new treasurer, your volunteer board treasurer, Mary Slaby, and all the efforts she and y'all are getting into to really plan for, as you said, continuing to underwrite and support the symphony for many years to come. And a lot has to happen, though. I hope folks will go online, if they didn't see copies of that last week, to myrtlebeachherald.com and print out. There was a great shot of you as well, Charles, I guess rehearsing, getting ready for this Sunday's performance, and it really is getting close. What are some of the things that you do? How far out do you have to begin preparing for each performance?
Me, roughly speaking, just for my own thinking, I go with a 3-month kind of schedule.
Is that right? Yeah.
And when it gets to 3 months before, I start laying the groundwork and doing some reading, rereading biographies.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I'm the one who's bringing this whole experience to people. I should know these things.
Yeah.
And the uncanny thing about it, I was just saying to my wife this morning, it's like I've done all of these pieces a number of times.
Right.
And each time, I can't believe that I did this piece without knowing this particular thing.
No.
There's so much in there to study and to make sure you know, make sure you can hear.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I go with that first month just trying to lay the groundwork, thinking of, okay, what is this program all about? Then the next month, I try to dig in and get back to work on the minutia of the piece.
Right.
And then by the last month, I'm just trying to incorporate that into production, trying to memorize things like that.
And when you say you're studying up and studying biographies and otherwise, Charles, you're not really you're getting this across in music for viewers who haven't attended a performance. So what's the significance of studying biographies, for instance? You mean of composers?
Yeah, I'll just reread it just to get an idea of the historical
Sure.
context of things.
Sure.
And, it's just for me to understand where that composer's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and the thing about it is it's work like anyone else's work, but it's also very gratifying for me. So this is what I get to do, really. And I get to delve into these things and learn all of this stuff for myself and then produce a product as a result. And I'm very lucky.
If a viewer hadn't been to the symphony in, let's say, 5-10 years even, or if they've just moved to the area and have never been, what are they going to see this Sunday? Why should they be out there, even arriving a little early? I think they need to pick up the phone and dial the 448-8379 number now, since it is probably going to be a sold-out performance.
Yeah, I would. I would
Sunday.
just go ahead and get tickets. In fact,
All right now.
the way I would be with that is I would get the tickets and pick them up
Right.
so that I could just walk in the door. That's just me, but you never know what to expect.
Right. A lot of folks like to just arrive, but if they got out there at 3, even an hour early, they could be there for the conversations with you and see some of the other performers for this Sunday's show. But if they haven't been, why do they need to be here this Sunday?
Well, I think it's built in for a lot of them. I think most of our new audiences are people who had this elsewhere. They had it wherever they came from.
Sure.
And many of them move into this area not realizing that there's something comparable right here.
Right.
And that's the biggest quote I get all the time after concerts. We really enjoyed it so much, we had no idea. And so, and I think Steve mentioned it in that article, that if we had everyone in this expanded metropolitan region aware of the Long Bay Symphony, our audience would be a good deal larger.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we sold out every performance, sure.
Yeah, or maybe going to 2 performances.
Right, sure,
that type of thing.
And that's something you all could do.
Oh, yeah, easily.
Really?
But we have to have it justified by ticket sales.
Right.
But the thing is, our attendance has grown so much over the past 3 years or so.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
Charles,
And I think it's just an indicator of the maturing of the community.
That is wonderful.
But what to expect? I think they would expect a professional-sounding orchestra playing some great stuff, delving into one of America's greatest composers, one whose musical style is universally enjoyable. People who don't go to the symphony would still, they know this stuff. Rhapsody in Blue, these great Gershwin songs that they've heard in all sorts of contexts throughout their life. We have a great saxophone quartet coming from Philadelphia.
Really? Great.
The Philadelphia, I mean, we've got Lynn Roberts doing these classic Gershwin tunes.
Right.
Philip Powell, who most everyone around this area.
Sure.
He's doing Rhapsody in Blue, plus a lesser-known work that Gershwin wrote as part of a tour to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Rhapsody in Blue. It's the I Got Rhythm Variations. So he takes that very famous tune, which Lynn will also sing.
How exciting.
And he takes it on a little journey, turns it into a waltz, turns it into, various different types of music.
Right.
And it's just, it's a charming piece. And Gershwin, he's one of those people that you would say, boy, if he had only lived 10 or 15 more years, what would he have produced? Because the genius that's in particularly these later works, this Cuban Overture was written in 1932, and the I Got Rhythm Variations in 1934, and he died, I believe, in 37 or 38. You know, these are works of someone who came up from the popular music world, but had ambitions and had the talent to become much more. And he left us a handful of great works.
I love those words coming out of your mouth, Charles, about for people who don't go to symphonies.
Yeah.
This is a great performance for people.
Oh, absolutely.
First was cheering as a Sunday school for people who don't attend Sunday school, and it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's important for folks to think about an experience of getting out. If they think, I wouldn't go to a symphony, but they're really going to experience something. Not only this Sunday, but the subscription series, the cost for that is so low to be able to lock up for the concerts. They can pick up the phone now, the 448-8379. You said there's a voicemail there. If they left a message,
Right.
they could, someone could call them
someone
back, and they
will
could call them by
right
and
back.
pick up tickets today or tomorrow before the performance on Sunday.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would want to mention also that we will still be offering subscriptions, being that this is our first concert.
Yes.
And even more conveniently, if they want to buy a single ticket for this concert,
Right.
and then turn it in as that much cash value toward a subscription.
Great. Wow. That's a
So
great
you really
deal.
can't lose. You can come check it out and not worry if you don't want to bother with trying to get a subscription that day.
That's a great
Just
idea.
Come by the office after that and use that money toward the subscription.
That's
So-
fantastic. All the seats, so it's assigned seating, Charles.
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
There's
great.
the aisle seats are hotly contested.
Right.
You know, there's
I
an
bet.
extra
The
charge
long
for
leg
those.
guy. Yeah. I've seen some of those folks
Yeah.
sitting there. And as you highlight that, for folks who haven't been to a symphony before, obviously for their first experience, there's something there they're going to love.
Oh gosh, and that's the whole idea of this orchestra, in my view. I've always had the mission to make it as user-friendly as possible, so that people recognize some things and then also learn from it. But this year, the symphony, we're featuring some big standard symphonies. On the October program, we'll be doing the Beethoven Third Symphony, the Eroica, one of the best known, probably second to, actually the Fifth and the Ninth are pretty well known too. But this is a landmark piece. We're also doing a Tchaikovsky Symphony, Tchaikovsky's Second Symphony, in the April concert, and then the Shostakovich Symphony No. 5 in January, which is a major epic piece. But these are all in like the top 10 or 20 works. So, I think someone else asked me in terms of what people would expect. I think the most thrilling thing about going to a concert is the thrill of live performance. To actually realize that there are 75 musicians on that stage
Right.
producing that sound acoustically on their instruments. Nothing's amplified.
Right, yeah.
You know, they're all putting out sound, and we're controlling the dynamics and everything about it. And it's such a human element there. That's what makes it so thrilling.
That is very exciting. I hate to say it, Charles. There's so many things I'd like to get into. We're going to have to get you back another time. We've just got a couple of minutes. When we think about, for you, inspirations, folks that have really helped get you interested in the music, had you thought about being in music from an early age?
Yeah, my father was a musician.
Is that right?
And after spending early childhood without his pushing it at all, because he'd pushed it on my two older brothers, and seeing that I nonetheless was also interested in it, he then supported it very strongly and bought me my first orchestral scores, which I could not understand at all. I said, Dad, what did you get me this for? He got me the 9 symphonies, and like for Christmas once. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then I got into it, and I just was hooked. And I knew from probably the time I was 14 that this is what I wanted to do.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing your daughter at one of the performances there at the arts the great Music and Arts Center there, probably 5 or 6 years ago, and she was scurrying around like my daughter now.
Yeah.
Has she gotten the bug?
Oh yeah, she plays in the youth orchestra.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's in the cello section, and
how exciting!
Just doing a great job. It's just, and what I emphasize to her too, and I would emphasize to all parents, it's like sports in a way. I mean, when you get a student involved in sports, it helps their growth so much. Whether or not they become a professional player, that's not the issue. And the same thing is true with the music. It provides such an insight and such a self-discipline that whether or not they pursue it after high school, or if they pursue it there but not as a vocation, it doesn't matter. It's given them a perspective on life that they wouldn't have had.
You all have some volunteer opportunities as well, Charles?
Oh, yeah. We have a wonderful guild. And I might add, it's not just a women's guild. There are several men in it now.
Good, yeah.
And it's just a wonderful social organization that, well, not only that, they have a great time socially, but they help us out unbelievably. Have all sorts of creative fundraisers, and really have provided a lot of our critical operating costs for the symphony and for the youth orchestra.
Joanne Milner, we highlighted recently, who had been real active. I know B.J. Thomas, I saw last week at Hilda's birthday party. She and Nick Sherfasy and others who've been long supporters and continue to. I'm glad you mentioned that it's not just for women, that guys need to be involved when you've got so many professional men, male men in the orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
You sure want to make sure there's a good, broad coverage there.
Sure.
That's fantastic. Charles, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
We're excited about this Sunday. Good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
Not that you need it. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Maestro Charles Jones Evans coming up next. You got to get out there early. You got to get out there early. It's getting close. This Sunday, the performance is at 4 p.m. at the Music and Arts Center there at Myrtle Beach High School. It's going to be a tremendous day. We didn't have a chance to talk about their amazing auditorium there. True professional performances of all kinds there at the Music and Arts Center. Take the time. Call the office now, 448-8379. I know it's early. You may not have had your coffee. This is a great way to wake up. Say these 5 words: the year of the symphony. Say it. The year of the symphony. The year of the symphony. It's a great opportunity. You can get out there, help them kick off the 20th anniversary this Sunday. The conversations with the conductor at 3:15. Take the time to get out there an hour early. Make sure you can get a ticket. A lot of folks that may not have called the office, a lot of folks who aren't seeing the show right now may not have thought, I need to get a ticket early. I need to get a ticket early, thinking it's not going to be a sold-out performance. You need to call 448-8379 or go online to longbaysymphony.com. It will be a sold-out performance. You need to get there early, and you need to be there for the 3:15 conversations with the conductor. Take the time. Go online to longbaysymphony.com or give them a call, 448-8379. Can you say it? The year of the symphony.